The Quant token is up 22.5% over the past 7 days, and it looks like it may be on the verge of a much bigger long-term breakout here out of its current range. And this comes directly after confirmation from both the European Central Bank as well as the Bank of England that they will be further testing the launch of central bank digital currencies using the Quant overledger. So in today's episode of the Everything Crypto Show, we are going to break down all of the connections that the Quant network has with major central banks and some of the biggest tech companies in the world, and why this could create an incoming supply shock for the Quant token. Now, before we hop into the content, just a friendly reminder that I am not a financial advisor. I am simply here for your crypto news and entertainment purposes. And if you do enjoy the content, please consider hitting that sub and like button and turn that notification bell on so you can be notified when all of our latest videos go live on the channel. So we're going to get right into today's altcoin of discussion, and that is none other than Quant. I do think it's overdue here that we give you a bit of an update on this token. And you guys know that I started covering this token right here in and around these bear market lows, and it was trading in that mid double digit range. And we've really been covering it ever since then, okay? Now, from that mid double-digit range, I think it bottomed out at about $42 back in June of 2022. And in that same year, during the bear market, it went on a nice 460% run up to $228. Now, since then, it has pulled back, and it has actually remained relatively flat, trading in between this 100 to 150 range, while a lot of the market has been taken off to the upside. And a lot of people have kind of gotten impatient and bearish, which to me just seems, a little bit short-sighted, considering that this coin is still basically up 3x from that bear market bottom it did put in. But, when you see a lot of other coins moving and Quant kind of already had its monster run back in the bear market year, people get impatient, they chase other coins, and that is when these coins tend to rip, when people least suspect it, when sentiment is low. And I've seen it happen many times before, even with Quant in previous cycles, and I do think we're seeing a very similar thing play out here. So I actually tweeted even back in early December. I felt that Quant has one of the cleanest setups out there right now, respecting its uptrend since 2021, also breaking out of the downtrend that began with that 2021 peak, shaking out weak hands and impatient traders chasing other alts. Looks prime for a breakout to me. And that was on December 8th, and then we actually saw that breakout take place here. So this was in late December. We saw Quant tag that 150 area of resistance before getting rejected and finding itself back down in this $100 zone. However, we bounced off the bull market support band here, validated it as a level of support, as well as this long-term uptrending channel here. And I do believe that this is an indication of a much longer breakout for this coin. And once we see a move above 150, that is when I think the real party gets started. So why is Quant rallying? Just aside from the general market sentiment, which definitely has improved over the past couple of weeks. That tends to happen when Bitcoin and Ether pump like 50% year to date. And there's two central banks in specific that I do want to discuss here that are both working with Quant. The first one is the European Central Bank. The second one is the Bank of England, and then also the Bank for International Settlements here has also confirmed their work with the Quant network. So here's what we got going on. The digital euro. We see the European Central Bank is looking to launch a digital euro. They say here it would be a central bank digital currency, an electronic equivalent to cash, and it would complement banknotes and coins, giving people an additional choice about how to pay. So what they need to actually build this out is an API, and it appears as if they have actually been testing the Quant overledger for this API. Now, we saw an announcement back in late 2022, and this was in and around the time that Quant was going on that monster run. We saw them actually collaborate with 5 different companies to develop potential user interfaces for the digital euro. And the big one I want to pay attention to here is NEXI. They chose NEXI for the point of sales payment initiated by the payee. So who is NEXI? NEXI is actually the largest digital payment provider in Europe, okay? This is a monster company here. We can see based on the stats, they are the #1 in acquiring for number of merchants served, #1 in acquiring for overall transaction value handled, #1 in issuing for number of payment cards managed. So at a glance, they have 2.2 million merchants, 170 million cards, with the top 1,000 financial institutions actually utilizing their payment system, 65% of European consumption. So why is this a big deal for Quant? Well, if we actually go over to their website, take a look at their partners, you probably could have guessed here that they are in fact partnered up with NEXI Group. So Quant initially, they actually partnered up with SIA Chain, and SIA Chain was then acquired by NEXI in sort of, this merger that did make them a massive payment giant over in Europe. So Quant now is partnered up with NEXI, and when we saw that the Digital Euro Association actually selected NEXI Group for this Digital Euro prototype, I did hypothesize at the time that they would in fact be utilizing the Quant Overledger APIs. And I want to actually, kind of pull up the original article from the Quant network and SIA Chain. So effectively what this partnership basically aimed to do was integrate Quant Network's Overledger technology into the SIA Chain private blockchain to enable cross-platform applications and services in Europe and globally. Effectively, they were able to facilitate interoperability and integrate the Quant Network's Overledger technology into the SIA Chain private blockchain, leveraging on 580 European network nodes, allowing the bridging of permissioned blockchains and permissionless blockchains, which previously could not be connected. That is what the Quant Overledger does. It's not a chain, it's not a layer 1, it's not a layer 2. It is essentially the connector of all these blockchains. And I'm a big believer that the future of the blockchain is multi-chain. So that's why I do, kind of keep an eye on Quant, and that's why I am bullish on the token. So then we saw this paper that got released by NEXI, and they basically said here the test showed that it is possible to smoothly integrate them. And they're talking about here a digital euro being implemented and integrated into the existing European payments landscape, very similar to how the Quant Overledger is being used to connect these private and public chains. And then we actually saw here sort of like a direct confirmation from the Digital Euro Association. So this is from the Digital Pound Foundation. Great shots of William Lawrence yesterday at yesterday's Digital Euro conference, showcasing some of our digital pound use case work with Ripple, Quant Network, and Electronium, and others. So here we have it. You can basically see that the Digital Pound Foundation, the Digital Euro Association, and then Quant Network and some other major crypto companies, the most recognizable one being Ripple, we can confirm that they are all in works here for this digital euro prototype. And I do think that we are going to see sort of like a full-scale launch over the next couple of years. And I do want to get into their connections with the Bank of England here as well. And before we actually get into that, I do want to mention, because I do get the comments pretty often, guys, I am not in favor of central bank digital currencies. It is just enabling the government to monitor us and all of our transactions. I am totally in favor of cash and, in these more decentralized currencies like Bitcoin. However, unfortunately, the government does not care about what I think, and they really don't care about what any of us think. They are going to do what benefits them, and that is to have a cashless society. So the next thing I am looking at is how can we profit from this, and that is why I am keeping an eye on Quant, okay? So we saw here that the Bank of England mentions building a financial sandbox based on Project Rosalind APIs, and they are looking to basically further conduct these experiments for a central bank digital currency following the successful Project Rosalind implementation. Now, what is Project Rosalind? So we had Gilbert Verdian, the Quant CEO, tweet here. This was last year. I'm incredibly proud to announce that Quant Network has been collaborating with the Bank for International Settlements, and the Bank of England on Project Rosalind, a project designing and implementing a CBDC API and platform and testing use cases for CBDCs with financial services participants. The project has produced tangible, real-world examples that tested how CBDCs could support a more digitalized economy in the future, working with participants like Bank of Canada, Barclays, MasterCard, and Amazon, all of who built and tested new CBDC payment flows on the platform. Man, that's like a tongue twister. Say it 3 times fast. CBDC, CBDC, CBDC. Anyways. So, the Quant token, how does this relate to the Quant token? We're going to talk about that next. So, this is an infographic. This is not an official one from the Quant team or anything. But there is, in fact, on the frequently asked questions portion of their website, they do discuss how the Quant token is used to pay for the overledger fees. So, the Quant token is used for enterprise licensing. According to this infographic, Quant tokens must be provided to Quant Network in exchange for an annual license. Developer licenses, a minimum Quant holding amount is put in place for every participant of the overledger ecosystem. So the wallet storing Quant is effectively your identity. Transaction processing. So, Quant tokens are used to validate, sign, and encrypt every transaction that flows through overledger, similarly to how Ethereum is used to pay for gas for transactions on that blockchain, right? So here's an interesting chart from Sebastian on Twitter, and I'm going to break this down a little bit more in a separate video, but this basically shows you that Quant does have a history of, basically moving after a lot of these other crypto assets have already moved. People get bearish, they kind of start to doubt Quant, they call it a stable coin, just like we're kind of seeing right now, and then boom, Quant goes on these monster runs here while the rest of the market is flat. So this really is a little bit of an odd mover. It does not move in correlation with the rest of the market, and that's what this infographic is breaking down. But we're going to break this down a little bit further in another video. For now, I do want to get into the current price action and talk about what I am looking for from this token. So here's what I'm looking at when it comes to the chart. We can see that Quant has respected this long-term uptrend. The first time we really bounced off of it was back here at these bear market lows. This is where I began, more heavily covering this project. We saw it once again here at the $85 level. This was in October of last year before Quant basically almost doubled, going up to 150. And now once again, we are seeing a bounce at this long-term uptrend. Additionally, we do actually have the bull market support band also acting as an area of support here. So to me, this does look like a very strong technical bounce for Quant. The one area we have to break through is this 150 area. Okay, we can see here that this area has basically been causing problems for Quant ever since we have made that run up to 228, broke back below it. We have not been able to get back above this on the weekly candles. I think early in 2023, Quant tried to pull like a fake out breakout above hitting 160, and then it just came right back down there on the weekly candle, actually getting double top rejected. And even if we go back, to before this this bear market here, when we actually, or rather the beginning of the bear market, but before the bottom, you can see 150 was resistance over here as well, along with rejection at that bull market support band. So, honestly, I think 150 is the big level to watch in terms of actually getting this thing to break out. But to me, it does look pretty good, and it does look like it's kind of, primed for a continuation of this move. Now, the other chart I do want to look at is the Quant to Bitcoin chart. You can see here that the Quant basically has sort of like these moments of underperforming Bitcoin, outperforming Bitcoin, then underperforming once again, outperforming, underperforming, and we are, basically, in my opinion, very close to the bottoming process for underperforming the Bitcoin pair. On 2 different occasions, this altcoin has underperformed Bitcoin, by over 80%. And the last time it did this, it did actually go on to, basically hit that high once again. It did make a new high, but was not able to confirm it on a weekly candle. So, yeah, we can make the argument here, right, that even if we do believe Quant is going to once again, try and follow this pattern and make a run for all-time highs on its Bitcoin pair, that would be a rally of about 450% from where it currently sits versus the Bitcoin price, right? So just something to keep in mind. I do think it's always worth valuing your altcoins in Bitcoin as well, because you're taking on more risk. So if you're taking on more risk, it should be outperforming Bitcoin. If it's not, you're taking on all that risk for less reward, and that's not really worth it. So yeah, we can see here that Quant definitely is going through this period of underperforming Bitcoin, but if we take a look at this chart, I just don't know how much longer this can really last before we see a meaningful bounce on the Quant to Bitcoin pair. So on that note, I hope you did enjoy the content in today's video. I hope you are all staying happy, safe, and healthy, and I hope to catch you in the next one. Peace out for now.